Today I'm installing weed barrier in my garden, and while I do, I'll show you how to do it the right way to avoid sneaky weeds, rogue seeds, and other peekaboo garden burglars that want to set up camp in your landscaping. We'll talk about cutting it to size, staking it taut, and exactly how much overlap between rows it takes to keep those unwanted weeds from eating your pets or taking your children. My friends at Vevor sent me this roll of woven weed barrier to build this tutorial, and it came just in time for gardening season. I've got this product and everything else linked in the description in case you need it. To install this stuff, you're going to need some landscape staples. I would definitely suggest the 6-inch staples like this, but you might be able to get away with 4-inch staples if the ground is really firm. To begin, unroll your weed barrier in the area where you need it, but don't cut it to size yet. We're going to let the rest of the roll hold the tail end in place for now. If you're using a woven weed barrier like I have here, be aware that it does have the potential to unravel. It's incredibly important that you prevent this from happening at the beginning and end of each run. Do this by folding under the first couple inches of fabric before stapling it into place, like this. That way, the ends that could unravel are not exposed. This approach also strengthens the stapling point, since the staple will end up punching through 2 layers of fabric instead of just 1. When you have the fabric where you want it, punch a staple into a corner, like this. You may need a mallet if your ground's extra firm. Next, head to the other corner, ensure that you pull the fabric tight and anchor it down with a staple. Then, install additional staples every foot or so between the corners in a similar fashion. Now that your starting point is secured, head to the other end with the rest of the roll and make sure it's exactly where you want it. It's important that you pull it tight. When it's about where you want it, head back to your starting point and add a staple on each side of the run about 2 feet apart, pulling the weed barrier tight as you go. I suggest adding a staple in the center as well if your run is wider than 2 feet. With woven fabric, the factory edges shouldn't unravel on you, but make sure you fold under any cut edges like we did at the beginning to prevent unraveling. Continue this approach all the way to the end of your run, then cut off your weed barrier from the roll. Be sure to cut it a bit longer than needed so you have enough length to fold under the end like we did at the beginning. Some people suggest using a torch to cut the fabric since it melts the ends and keeps it from unraveling, but for me, a blade is just fine if I fold the end under before stapling. If you're running additional rows, it's extremely important that you overlap your rows by 6 inches or so. Otherwise, weeds will find a way to creep through your fabric. Let me show you what I mean. If you leave any space whatsoever between pieces of fabric with any soil exposed at all, a weed will find a way to grow there. They can even work their way between weed barrier layers if there's only a slight overlap. Check out this little monster, growing between layers and popping out. This one here pulled my neighbor's cat under, and we haven't seen him since. Weeds are relentless and built to survive in extreme growth situations, so be sure to overlap your weed barrier by several inches to minimize your risk. And if after seeing this video you feel like I've earned your subscription, you can do so by clicking the ManCycle logo right here. See you next time.